Hey fellow tennis nerds, I hope all is well. Welcome to another This Week in Tennis. Today I'm going to focus on two topics. The tournament in Rome is still ongoing. Actually, I'm going tomorrow to Rome. I'm going to watch for 2 days and hopefully see some action. I know we have many players out of the event. We saw Novak lose surprisingly to Tabilo, who played a great match. Very exciting guy. But something was a little bit off with Novak. Maybe you noticed it too. Maybe it was the water bottle that fell on his head the day before when he was about to sign some autographs. One of the guys, he leaned over, had a backpack, and the bottle fell on Novak's head. Big accident, and a metal bottle, maybe also filled with some liquid, hurts quite a bit. So he got some medical attention, didn't really notice anything. He sent a message to his fans that all was fine, it was an accident, but then the next day against Tabilo, he did look a little bit off. Could just been a lack of form, could be something else, could be something personal going on, or could be some after effects of a concussion of some kind. So we cannot really know. So Novak also a question mark now for the French Open, with Alcaraz already being that, and Sinner with his hip injury. Tsitsipas on the other hand is playing really well. So I see like guys like Tsitsipas, Ruud, maybe even Medvedev can be threats now that the field seems very open and very many question marks linger around these players. Women's side, we see Iga go through the draw, still doing well. Coco Gauff beat Badosa, but Rybakina had to retire from this event due to illness. So there's some injury, illness issues also on the women's side, but more of the big names are in contention for the Rome title. So the women's tennis is a little bit hotter at the moment than the men's, where there are many question marks, I would say. But the big topic of this video, because you are tennis nerds and this news was out, I did know about it a little bit before, thanks to some off-the-record sources. I know a little bit about this story, how Andy Murray came to test the Yonex E-Zone 100. And this might seem like a shocking change, but as you know, Andy has been injured, and he has been playing around with the idea of a more powerful racket. Maybe he's watched tennis nerd videos where I've said that he should, or where I also said that the E-Zone 100 is a great racket, and these videos have been on the channel. This is just a joke. I don't think he's watching my videos, but he obviously realized that it might be time for more power. He has tried different molds with the same layup from head, and didn't really work out for him. You remember that blacked out racket, which was like a PT57A layup, which is his racket of choice for many years, in a 99 screen head, the MP Light Prestige. My feeling with that racket in that setup, after trying it briefly, is that it's a bit mushy, like you don't feel a direct connection to the ball. It's a bit too soft, and with the open pattern creates a little bit of a unpredictability. That's just my feeling. I'm obviously no Andy Murray. However, did not see the E-Zone 100 coming. Probably Andy himself did not see it coming. So what happened? This is not Yonex throwing money at Andy Murray. During his latest injury off period, he went into a shop and bought an E-Zone 100 himself. Caracal grip, he uses those. I also like those grips, and lead tape. And he proceeded to add about 30 grams of lead tape to this racket. He started using it as an experiment during his injury period and really liked the racket. The grip shape of Yonex is pretty similar to his custom molded grip as well, probably helps. So it wasn't like a huge grip adjustment. If you're interested in grip adjustments and what you can do to get a grip that you're more comfortable with, check out our latest video about tennis grips. It's a gripping conversation. He started playing around with it, really liked it, and then contacted Yonex if they could send him some more frames with the specs that he had tried. So I actually had a guy who saw his racket at a tournament where he was just training there, he wasn't playing the tournament, and he saw his racket and like there was lead tape all over it, which Andy had put on himself to test. Quite a lot of lead tape. Obviously the Yonex is a 300 gram, very light racket, quite powerful. I don't really know how he controls it, but as I said about the E-Zone 100 in the past, is that it actually has a very controlled string bed. The string bed is quite dense for a 100 square inch racket, which is why I love that racket and was close to playing with myself for a long time. He contacted Yonex, and Yonex did send him 10 or 12 frames customized to the specs he liked. He has said now that he's gonna try it in a competitive setting, and if he likes it, he's gonna stay with it. Nothing is sure in tennis. As you know, these players need to find something that works for them in a competitive setting. We know how Andy is. He's a very competitive guy and one of the best players of this generation. So it's not easy for him to change something that he has played with for his whole career, the PT57A, which I, of course, have one. I've made videos about that before, and I've tried his personal racket, and it's a very difficult, demanding racket to use with a very high swing weight, small head size. It's a legend in the game, but it has some weaknesses in terms of giving you power and forgiveness, which is more needed in today's game. The guys are hitting the ball harder with more spin, and the strings are biting into the ball. So it's more difficult to play tennis than ever before, and the guys are better. They're stronger, physically fitter, and the equipment also does its part. So I think it's great if Andy has found out that the East 100 might work for him. He could also go down to the 98, which to my head is more logical, but I also like the 100 more than the 98, so I understand him in a way. And the 100 is very interesting, and I also added weight to it and actually keeps playing really well at the added weight. But then when you get to a competition, you all know how it is if you compete. Playing a match in a tournament and playing a practice set is completely different. Your more 10s, balls tend to fly a bit because you're tight and so on. So we'll see if it works for him. I'm definitely going to watch this match. I've been making videos for years that Andy should change to a new racket. I know it's silly that a guy like me is coming up with these ideas, but people tend to like the content. I find it quite interesting. I do follow the tour pretty closely. I do follow gear pretty closely on the tour as well. And I do consult some serious pros here and there, which is fun. And I really like to get into the nitty-gritty of the gear. This experiment came as a little bit of a shock. But it's also fun when a player actually goes out to buy a new racket and just makes his own journey with it. Like, it doesn't really involve like a customizer or anyone, just goes out like a normal guy, buys the racket in the store, plays with it. I like this, finds his string tension and setup, and enjoys it, and hopefully switches to it. I mean, we've seen it recently also. Danielle Collins, I think, tried a Technifiber racket, the same model that Iga uses or endorses, and fell in love with that after her Aero. So it happens that a player just tries a racket and from a fellow pro or a retail racket, and they like it, and then they can contact the manufacturer and get more rackets customized, whatever they need with their grip shape, size, so on. So not maybe a shocking development, but very interesting, since the East 100 will bring so much more power to Andy's game. And I'm very curious to see how his game is affected by this new racket change. I think it will be great. He strings it with natural gut in the mains. So he started stringing gut in the mains, I think, this year, and he had a little bit of a tough period getting used to that. It was always gut in the crosses. Gut mains, 27.5 kilos. Is that 60 pounds? Something like that. And with Polytor Strike in the crosses. So I think an interesting combo. Gut and Strike is a good hybrid, I think, that should give some control also to a racket like the East 100. But this is quite a racket change. He might not stick with it, but I'm going to follow it closely. Andy might be the guy who retires last of the big four players, so we'll see. That's it for today. A little bit different week in tennis, but I thought that this topic was interesting enough to dive into. Make sure to subscribe to the channel and our other networks. Go to tennisnerd.net, where there are news every day about things like this. Have a nice day now, and don't forget to play some tennis.